And welcome, guys, to Overtime with Taylor Tanner, College Football Edition. Great Thursday show we have today. We got some segments. We're bringing segments to the podcast. We had a couple beginning podcasts, just to get the groove of things. Now we're officially adding some segs to the show. We got Stat Attack. We look at the best stats from some dominating performance. Man, those Texas Longhorns just destroyed Michigan and Clemson. Big bounce back for the Tigers against Appalachia State. Appalachia State broke my parlay, just saying. I thought they were going to cover, but they didn't. But hey, that's what happens when you bet. You're going to lose money. You lose more than you win. But also another segment, we got Underdog Spotlight. Notre Dame, what happened? NIU, the Huskers, the Dogs. They have bones on their wall of teams they've beat, Power 5 teams they beat. Notre Dame's the first top 5 team they have beaten in program history. So we'll take a look at the Underdog Spotlight with NIU, and then we'll talk about some of the games of the week. Sleeper game, Duke at Northwestern, Friday night game. Maybe you didn't catch it out because you were watching NFL football, but hey, that Friday night game was awesome. Duke is a lot of fun. And also we're taking a look at Oregon at Boise State. Oregon, man, I don't know if they'll be a national championship contender, but Boise State looks dang good. All right, let's start the show off with some good news, with some happy news. Unless you're a Notre Dame fan, of course. But the NIU Huskers got a big win against Notre Dame at Notre Dame. That's tough to do. A multi-touchdown, 3-4, 30-plus point underdog NIU Huskers going to Notre Dame and upset them on a walk-off field goal. What a game, man. Notre Dame just looked bad. When I say what a game, it wasn't a fun game to watch. It was really slow, really sluggish. But NIU just put their shoulder pads down, put their head down, and just put the pedal to the metal. And they were able to just outplay Notre Dame. Notre Dame just looked tired. They looked sluggish. It's like they looked really good against Texas A&M last week. I don't know what happened to the Fighting Irish, though. They did not fight at all. They all looked gone. Riley Leonard had 2 interceptions against NIU. You can't do that if you're Notre Dame. I love Riley Leonard. I think he's a good quarterback. But in that game against NIU, he just looked average at best. But, man, Notre Dame's defense. Their defense didn't get a single sack against NIU. And this NIU offensive line is so much worse than this Notre Dame D-line. But when on paper, that's what it looks like. But when the pads hit the pads, when the ball hits the ground, when your cleats get tied up and you're putting those cleats in the ground, NIU's offensive line just dominated Notre Dame's D-line. And NIU just ran all over Notre Dame. NIU's a team who has no 4-star, no 5-star prospects. They have so many 3 stars, and those 3 stars have been with NIU since the beginning. And this coach just developed and developed and developed. And now NIU is the 25th best team in the country according to the AP poll. But hey, I have a clip for you. This is a clip of the emotional NIU head coach after the game.
The ups and downs of this ball game. Let's throw it down to Zora with Coach Hammock.
Coach, I can sense that you need a moment. Top 5 opponent. This is NIU's first win against a top 10 opponent ever. And for people who need context, you wore this jersey. It's deep for you. Why?
I'm so proud of our kids, the coaches, just everybody. They believed. They believed. And we came here and got it done.
You told your guys this week that you didn't need anyone to be a superhero or superhuman. They just needed to be their best. What kind of performances did you see out there?
They listened to what I said. I told them all week, we don't need luck. We just got to be our best. And they was their best today, and we was able to get it done.
Where's this emotion coming from for you?
All these guys that have been with our program, been through the ups and downs, and they continue to fight. It's like they my kids. I'm happy for the adversity to push through. No matter the situation, I just couldn't be more proud. I'm sorry.
No need to be sorry. Boneyard wins is what you call it when you all beat a top 5 opponent, a Power 5 opponent. There was 70,000 people in here that probably didn't believe. Why did you all believe?
we got a veteran team, a bunch of guys that have been through a lot of different things, and they work together. Like we still are in college football. I know it's a whole bunch of other things with the transfer portal and NIL. We still have a family, and they believe in that family and doing things the right way. And I couldn't be more proud of them.
Congrats, Coach. Go celebrate.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey.
That is what football is all about. Hearing moments like that, the coach saying our team believed in ourselves. No one else did, but we believed in ourselves. This is why college football is the best sport on the planet. Sorry, you NFL fans, but I truly believe that college football, in these moments where you see head coaches, grown men who put their time and their lives, effort in coaching a team of three-star players, guys who had no offers for these Power 5 schools. They probably had offers from JUCOs. They probably had offers from D2 schools, but NIU was where they wanted to go, and this head coach coached them up to beat Notre Dame, and they got a boneyard win, as they call it. Just amazing moment for NIU. Sorry, Notre Dame fans, but it wasn't for you. All right, another low-key underdog win. Cal at Auburn. If you ask me, I wanted to say Cal was an underdog, but according to the sports books out there, Cal was a 13.5-point underdog to Auburn. Cal beat Auburn 21-14. Let me say this. I don't think Cal outplayed Auburn, but Auburn just shot themselves in the foot. Auburn has the players. Auburn has the team, has the coach to beat this Cal team, especially when their defense holds one of the best running backs in the game, Jaden Ott, to only 10 rushing yards. But Peyton Thorne, they should have got rid of Peyton Thorne a long time ago, in my opinion. He threw 4 interceptions. And this just asks the question, like, Hugh Freeze should have gone to the transfer portal to get a quarterback. He should have. He needed to. He needed a quarterback. Peyton Thorne's not the guy to help Auburn win. Sure, this Auburn team isn't one quarterback away. But if Hugh Freeze would have gotten, let's say, Cam Ward, that's the name that was in the transfer portal, I'm sure if Auburn offered him to go there, he would have taken it. An SEC school, Cam Ward at Auburn, that would change this Auburn program forever. But Peyton Thorne is just a terrible, terrible player. Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback for Cal, he just played smart football. He didn't try to force anything. He didn't make any terrible passes. He just played smart football through the completions, and they just won the game. If Auburn wants to be better, they have to use their running back, Jarquez Hunter. He needs to touch the ball 25 times a game at least. And that's just my opinion. I think Jarquez Hunter is one of the best backs in football. But it was a terrible look for Auburn to lose to Cal. And Auburn fans already know they are depressed. All right, let's take a look at some big-time stats, some stat attacks. Texas just dominated Michigan, and they look like a national champion team. Outside of Will Johnson, this Michigan secondary got torn apart. Texas dominated these matchups, and Texas ran the ball really, really good with a banged-up running back room. Texas outgained Michigan 389 yards to 284. 389 yards Texas put up against a Michigan defense that was elite. And I mean, yes, Michigan did win the national championship. They were elite, but that does not matter this season. It doesn't matter that they were national championship team, a national championship winner. This Michigan team looks completely different than the team they looked like last year. Texas, more than 50% of their possessions were in enemy territory, were in the Michigan territory. I think that number is probably 60, 70, maybe even 80% of their offensive snaps were in Michigan territory. That just puts so much pressure on your defense, so much pressure on them that they have to defend 30, 40 yards. They don't have to defend 70, 80 yards. And man, Michigan, I don't see them winning more than 8 games, more than 7 games. This offense just needs to be better. Speaking of offenses, let's go to Oklahoma State versus Arkansas in Stillwater, Oklahoma. This was just an offensive explosion for Arkansas. Arkansas outgained Oklahoma State 648 to 358 yards. 648 yards for Arkansas. When was the last time you heard Arkansas get anywhere close to 400 yards, 300 yards? They got 648 yards, and they outgained Oklahoma State by over 300 yards. And they lost the game. Why? Why did they lose the game? 3 turnovers. 3. That's all it takes. Football. If you're a coach of football, you got to preach. Don't turn the ball over. Don't force the ball in there. Hold on to the ball. Ball security. Turnovers lose football games, and Arkansas figured this out very, very quick. The Arkansas run defense was amazing. Ollie Gordon is a Heisman candidate, was a Heisman candidate. He is not anymore. Only rushing 49 yards against Arkansas is terrible, and I don't think Ollie Gordon should be in the Heisman conversation from here on out. Heck, he may run for 200 yards in a game for the rest of the season. I still don't think he should be a Heisman candidate because of this game. Taylon Green, transfer quarterback, went to Arkansas. Arkansas had KJ Jefferson. He was a fast guy. Taylon Green just looks so much different. Taylon Green knows how to read the hole. He knows how to run through the holes. He knows how to run. His throwing mechanics are fine. He's inaccurate at times, but he can make some good balls. A couple of his balls were pretty bad, low, outside, but his receivers made the catch. And in my opinion, if you're a college quarterback, as long as you can throw it to where your receiver can make a play on the ball, I think you've done your job. You don't have to be a Peyton Manning, an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady in your ball placement. Just throw the ball where the receiver can catch it. Don't throw the ball where it can be picked off or something, but throw it to where your receiver can make a catch on it. This game went to OT, and man, Arkansas just couldn't pull it out. Oklahoma State won it, but I think Arkansas is a sneaky team in the SEC. They could upset some of these bigger teams they play later on. This Bobby Petrino offense is back. But if they lose by one touchdown to a top 20 team, Arkansas could upset some of these bigger guys. And now, let's talk about some of the games of the week. Duke at Northwestern, two very different teams. Duke, pass. Northwestern, run. Guess who the Duke quarterback is? If you didn't know this, Malik Murphy. He was at Texas last year. He played a couple games for Texas last year. He is really, really good. He's Duke's starting quarterback. He made great throws, threw the ball really well. You can tell he looks comfortable with the Blue Devils. The Blue Devils are 2-0. And in overtime, hey, they beat Northwestern. They could be a scary team in the ACC. I mean, the ACC is Miami's to lose right now, but hey, that second place is up for anyone. Boston College, maybe. Duke, Clemson. I mean, Clemson did just destroy. They absolutely just destroyed App State. Cabe Klubnik went crazy. But hey, Duke could be that second team. Next game of the week. Boise State at Oregon. Oregon is not a top 10 team in football. Oregon needs to figure out how they can pull away from these lower tier teams, which Boise State, their running back, Ashton Gentry, is a legitimate Heisman candidate, putting up 192 yards on Oregon. That's great for a running back. If you have a running back who can do that, Ashton Gentry is what Ollie Gordon wishes he was. I'm going to go on a tangent here, but I hated the Ollie Gordon hype. He got stopped by South Alabama last year. South Alabama, the Jaguars, we're 0-2 right now. We lost to Ohio and, I forgot who we lost to week 1, but we lost to North Texas. There it is. We lost to Ohio and North Texas, and we stopped Ollie Gordon last year. Ashton Gentry is levels above Ollie Gordon. 192 yards on Oregon. Boise State had 221 total rushing yards. Oregon couldn't stop the run to save their lives. Now, we'll give Oregon some credit. Dylan Gabriel played really good. 18 for 21, 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. He played a near-perfect game. But, man, you've got to play more than perfect if your team's struggling against Boise State. Oregon needs to figure it out. To be fair, their early games are really, really simple games. They play bigger and tougher competition later on in the season. But Oregon has time to figure it out. But I don't think they'll be a national championship contender. I think they'll be one of the first ones out, especially if they keep struggling against these teams. And a couple of these quick games that I just want to mention. Tennessee, NC State. Tennessee 51, NC State 10. Tennessee's defense is awesome. Tennessee is a defense away for being a national championship contender, and they found their defense. Nico Imalava, whatever his name is, Nico, as we're going to call him, he will be a number 1 pick in the future in the NFL draft. He knows where to place that ball. He's an elite quarterback. And Tennessee's got a great running back. They got Squirrel White in the receiving room. This team is going to be really good, and they could upset teams like Bama. That's going to be a really good game when Bama and Tennessee play each other. And speaking of Bama, Alabama 42, USF 16. The final score is lying to you. Bama struggled this whole game, and then they finally picked it up. They had a bunch of injuries on the O-line. They couldn't really figure it out until the final couple minutes of the game. And then when they figured it out, they put the pedal to the metal and they just went to the end zone. Touchdown, 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 touchdown. Ryan Williams is elite. Ryan Williams is also going to be a future top 10 pick in the NFL. He looked really, really good against a pretty decent defense in USF. USF is not a bad team at all. They're a sleeper group of 5 team. But Bama, they look really good if they can figure out everything they need to do to win football games. Now, let's take a look at the future forecast. Look at some of these games that's coming on in week 2. Friday Night Lights, Arizona at Kansas State. This is going to be a fun one. Arizona has a great wide receiver, McMillan. He has 315 yards this season. And Kansas State almost lost to Tulane. Tulane should have won that game, in my opinion. I don't trust this Kansas State team, this Kansas State defense, to stop this Arizona offense. And this Arizona offense is really, really good. So I think this game's going to be a shootout. Kansas State has a great offense, too, with Avery Johnson at quarterback. It's going to be a fun game to watch if you're a college football fan. 2 teams who just throw the lights out of the football. They can also run the football very well. I think Arizona will win this game, but it's going to be a very, very fun watch. One of the SEC game of the week, LSU at South Carolina. LSU struggled again against Nicholls State. Sure, Nicholls is not a great team, but LSU struggled. They won the game, but they struggled against Nicholls State. They lost to USC. Now they play South Carolina, who's on a run. South Carolina just killed Kentucky, just murdered Kentucky. South Carolina is my sleeper team in the SEC before the season even started. I think South Carolina can beat LSU. South Carolina's D is awesome. Dylan Stewart, the edge rusher, he's a true freshman. I just tell you, go watch this a YouTube video on this guy. Just type this dude's name, Dylan Stewart, Dylan Stewart is awesome. And it's gonna be tough. Dylan Stewart, this edge rusher for South Carolina, is going to be tested against this elite LSU offensive line, but I think he wins the battle because he's that good. South Carolina's quarterbacks got to just figure it out. You know, Lenore Sellers, he's young. He just got to stay calm, stay composed. It's going to fall on the back of Sellers, in my opinion. That's how this game's going to be determined. But I personally think South Carolina is going to upset LSU. It's in South Carolina, too. And South Carolina, don't underrate their game day atmosphere. It's electric. Boston College at Missouri. Thomas Castellanos is awesome. Castellanos is one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC. This guy's electric. He can run. He can pass the ball. This guy can use his feet. Against Missouri, Missouri's got a good defense. But I think Boston College could upset this Missouri team. Now, as every episode goes, we have to end with the South Alabama Jaguars. And let me tell you, man, this Jaguars team did not play very good. The defense is still bad. Gio Lopez was injured, so we had to start Bishop Davenport. And Bishop looked pretty good. He completed a lot of passes, made good plays, a couple bad throws, but he was also good. He was elusive. He could run. He could break the sacks. But, man, really, really disappointing game for the Jags. The defense, missed tackles, bad pursuit. The coverage was not very good. Like I said, the O looked fine with Bishop Davenport, but the defense needs to get better. We can't be losing to Ohio. We can't be losing to North Texas. Good news is we got Northwestern State next. And, hey, Northwestern State is an FCS team, is a small team. Northwestern State is pretty bad. So South should get a win. This should be a wake-up call. I don't know if Gio's going to play or not. I guess we'll see at game time. But I'll be there tonight. Hopefully the weather holds out. Hopefully it's a nice game, but it might be a little groggy. But hey, South needs to be better. South needs to win. We got LSU in a couple weeks. That's going to be a tough game. But hey, look at NIU. They just upset Notre Dame. So hey, maybe we could upset LSU too. Hopefully we can beat Northwestern State. All right, well, that's all I have here for the show today. Make sure to follow my socials at OT with TT and also my Instagram at @the_TaylorNader_. So, thank you guys for listening. You've been listening to Overtime with Taylor Tanner.